And hello everyone, Gabe the Izzard here on a beautiful day in March, the 13th of March. And I am here at Toltec Mounds State Park in Arkansas, starting a 52 state park discovery that I am embarking on. Not all in one day, not all in one year, but it'll happen. And I am wearing the appropriate t-shirt, a Petit Jean State Park t-shirt, for this beginning of an era. It's a beautiful day out here in the Delta of Scott, Arkansas. This is the beginning. It is flat from here all the way to the Mississippi River heading east. So I'm going to go inside and check out this state park. It's Indian Mounds. Toltec Mounds is Indian Mounds. It's a bunch of hills that the Indians lived on. They buried their trash, they buried people, and so on and so forth. So let's go inside. Now go ahead, tag along. The hours of operation, Wednesday through Saturday, 8 to 5, Sunday, 1 to 5, closed Monday and Tuesday. And this is the visitor center. We're visiting on a Sunday. It's 1 o'clock. The United States and Arkansas flag. Going in. Here is a brief documentation of all of the state parks that are located here in Arkansas. Brochures galore.
Like distant echoes of the past,
starting with a brief orientation video.
What was the purpose of the mounds? When were they constructed? And why?
Here is a actual wooden dugout canoe that was unearthed in 1982 from the Saline River. Inside the visitor center is a nice little museum also. It gives a brief history of how Indians in this area lived, some of the artifacts that are found, an array of arrowheads, bones, and pottery. So this is the site layout that we're at right now. We're located here at the visitor center. This is a earth hill that was made with a ditch filled with water, and then each one of these are mounds, and we'll walk through and take a peek. They have various Indian underwears, even a skunk. No, these aren't loincloths. They're just pelts. So here is a exhibit that shows where the sun would be shown through the solstice and the equinoxes, and we are actually about 8 days from the spring equinox. So all centered with Mound A. H would be the spring equinox that we're about to have, and then this winter solstice and the summer solstice align. And that's where the North Star would be viewed from E. There are two trails, the Plum Bayou Trail and the Knapp Trail, but the Plum Bayou also runs through the Knapp, so we are just going to do the Plum Bayou. Part of it is paved, and then part of it is not. And you can see there in the distance mounds, and they have some that you can't see, where you see like that letter N. I don't know if you can see it right there, but that is where a mound has been completely flattened by farming. So just give a little reference. We're standing right here. We just crossed over that little bridge right there is where the perimeter would have been filled with water with an earthen mound. That would be right there, up and around. So we're gonna make our way, come back, zigzag around, and then come back to where we are now. 1.6 miles. We're gonna go that way. The Toltec mounds were named after the Indian or the Mexican, native Mexican tribes, the Toltecs, but they are actually not part of that tribe. And they're referred to now as the Plum Bayou Indians, but that's only a name given because of their location next to Plum Bayou. In all actuality, they don't have a name because by the time these mounds were discovered, the people were no longer living here. These mounds were thought to have been lived in and around between 800 AD and 1200. So by the time the Spanish explorer Hernando de Soto was here, and the French explorers that followed after, it was there were no longer any natives living in this area. Where this row of trees are planted is where the earthen boundary was, and the little moat. And here is Mound J, O, K, L, but they've all been flattened because they were farming cotton out here. And actually, just on the other side of that, where the earthen mound would have been, is still a farm that's active to this day. Okay, so I was a little wrong about the embankment wall. You can see a little bit of a rise right here that moves along, and then where these white flags, that's where the embankment wall was, and then the water was right here, and then there was another embankment right on the other side. It's a beautiful day to be out here discovering some of the old places of Arkansas. We're on the far north side of the state park, and you can see there's a house right there. This is right on Oxbow Lake, which used to be a bend in the Arkansas River. It changed many times over the years, and this used to be part of it. Lots of cypress knees sticking out and large cypress trees. All right, we're on the coming up to the far west side visitor center right out there. And archaeologists speculate that this was a mainly ceremonial site, and the Plum Bayou people would come here a few times a year to reunite with family members and have ceremonies. But there are not any burial mounds out here, and they only had about 50 people living here, so there wasn't like a whole lot of debris, but there were containers and trinkets and whatnot that have been found out here. There's where Mound M would have been. And for a perspective, when these mounds were built, there were two rectangular type plazas encapsulating this area right here, and we would be walking through one of them now. The other is on the other side of this mound, but I don't know what they were doing there in those plazas. Selling trinkets? Bead trading? This is Mound B right here, and it's about 50 foot high right now. And right over here is Mound G, and it was 300 feet long and about 150 feet wide, which would have been located all right in here. Plowed flat. A lot of pottery bits were found in this section, crossing the Knapp Trail, which is the paved one. It is a round trail, but we're going to continue on the Plum Trail, following the arrow. That is Mound A there, and that is what was the focal point of the setting of the sun during the equinox and solstice, shooting out this direction. G would have been one, and then B would have been the summer solstice. What was it? G or H? H was out there, is the equinox, and C, which is located right there, a little bump, was the winter solstice. And we're crossing the backside of the Knapp, but we're continuing on the Plum. This would be the direction. If it was the winter solstice, we would be right in the line. A back there, C right here, and I would be in a beam of light. This area has only been protected since the late 70s. Up until then, there was lots of farming, and this is some of the most fertile farmlands in Arkansas. Might even be the country. People always say you could drop a seed on the ground and things would grow. But we are on the other side, and there is farmland surrounding every bit of us. So we're walking around here, making this curve. The embankment would follow right around there, and there is a good amount of the embankment right through the woods there, undisturbed. And there's one more mound right in the woods over here. Let's see if I can get a better view of it. But we've entered into some trees. This is Mound S. And when they excavated this, they've found mainly animal bones, like white-tailed deer, and charred seeds and nuts. And then they partially rebuilt it. This, my friends, is a huge tree. Vines growing up. So this would be where E and then D, the last mounds, and we are in that second plaza. But these would be the farthest ones on the southernmost part of the whole Toltec area. And there is a hawk flying above Mound A. Pretty incredible. All right, and so for this part of the Plum Bayou Trail, we get onto the pavement and start on the nap section. There is a little paved cut through here, but we are gonna go walk down to the backside of A and see the Oxbow Lake. And there is where Mound R would have been. Had a nice little deck that's built to walk out here on the water. There are houses right across the way. I came here as a child for a field trip a couple times, and none of these houses were here, and it was all basically wooded area. And it seemed like once you got on the backside of this mound, other than you were on a man-made structure, it seemed like you were in the middle of nowhere. And for some reason, they have that little section blocked off. They have a little canoe over there, dugout. Area closed. Here's a garden of cypress knees, and that is a very tall one right there. So the Arkansas River is actually this direction, that way, and it, as a crow flies, it's probably no more than a mile away. If this was a warmer day, there would probably be some turtles out here on that log, but right now it's only about 50 degrees. And a very immense tree growing out. And there have been quite a few removed. I do remember this used to be very wooded. Of course, that was long, long ago. Love those cypress knees. So here is Mound F, P, and the remnants of M is directly through there with Big B right there. As you can imagine, Mound B was heavily excavated just because of its large stature. Hadn't been plowed down to the ground or looted. Lots of stone tools and poles and skins were found there, which they believe it could have been shelter-ish type materials. We're gonna follow the Nap Trail, which is paved, back up to the visitor center, and I think I'm gonna buy a shirt. And if you do come out here, there are plenty of sit-down areas, and it is flat. Even the grass trail is flat, and lots of these little shade areas with benches. So if you are the slower moving person, the type of person that doesn't like to get out and do hills, this would be an excellent place to come and walk. And it's only about a 20-minute drive, no more than 20-minute drive from Little Rock. It's actually Scott, Arkansas, located just outside of North Little Rock. And I tell you, I don't know if we could have picked a better day. These little purple flowers remind me of my childhood. I had so many of them in my yard as a kid. They smell so good down here. Little bitty suckers. Here's Mound H right here. And there are red flags that are encompassing a circumference. And it's a pretty decent sized mound right there. Flat. So the nap trail that we're on right now was given its name from the owner of this property, Mrs. Gilbert Knapp. She owned it from 1857 to 1900, and she's actually the one that said that these were Toltec mounds, because she knew of mounds in Mexico that were built by the Toltec Indians, but they weren't obviously actually Toltec. But she gave the name, so that's where we get Toltec mounds, and that's also the trail that we're on right now, the Knapp Trail. It is K-N-A-P, not N-A-P. K-N-A-P-P. There is more of the Earthen Mound. You can see that was the perimeter right there. You can imagine that just going all the way around and with water on the other side. Not a moat for protection, but just kind of a boundary to welcome into this sacred area. We just finished that plums, but we're gonna go ahead and just walk the Knapp Trail just to get in some extra steps and see if we get a different perspective. 3/4 of a mile. Rated easy. A lot of green slime. So they gave us this little trail guide. Has the address on the back. We're gonna go inside, check out the gift shop. So right here, you can see the Earthen Mound, and this is the waterway. And it goes there, and the Earthen Mound would have been along right there where that white flag is. Pretty interesting. So this is going to be the state parks that I'm going to be visiting. Right now, we're at this one. Came from here to there, and watch for number 2 coming very soon. Right there, Plantation Agricultural Museum. And now we've been to state parks, Pinnacle, Petit Jean, Woolly Hollow, been to different ones. We're going to visit them all and document them all the way down to South Arkansas. From Conway Cemetery to Crowley's Ridge to Hobbs to Lake Chico. Alright, checking out the little gift shop here. Got some shirts, some bags, different books. I'm gonna find something.
To get the trails, go down the hallway to the double doors. Museums are over there. And then there's a 10-minute video here if you'd like to see it. Okay, thank you.
Well, that's gonna do it. I got our Arkansas State Parks passport to start this journey and got the stamp for the Toltec mounds. And look for our next video, my next video, which will be the Plantation Agricultural Museum. It's a separate video, even though I am going to visit it today, but I'm going to do it as an individual deal. So that was number 1, and this will be number 2. And this is what I picked up from the gift shop, a magnet. It's the shape of an arrowhead with the mounds. It's pretty neat. They didn't have any shirts in large. They had some nice designs, but no large. So thanks for watching. See you on the next one. Later.